And welcome to the Byron Podcast. I want to thank everyone, first off, that has listened to the first 2 episodes. More than I thought would happen, so thank you very much. I'm Byron. Our guest on the show is Oli.
Hey everybody.
How's it going? Today, I thought we'd talk about big 3 topics: rubs, marinades, and cuts. So, what kind of ingredients are you using? And let's just start with your marinades.
The marinades? Well, generally,
how many do you have?
I don't have too many right now. I just buy them as I go. Generally, you just shop for what you want.
Do you make marinades?
I make I throw some shit together. It's basically store-bought items. You get your basic ingredients that you like, throw them together, and it usually comes out the way you want it to.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of a hard thing to explain, but
So, all right. So what would be your just you're whipping up a marinade right now. What are you throwing in there? What are you starting off with?
probably whatever my favorite hot sauce is and my favorite barbecue sauce. If you're cooking it with meats, you always got to have some sort of Worcestershire in there if it's red meat.
Worcestershire.
Yes, Worcestershire sauce is the real deal. Goes down with, you can throw that on a steak alone and it'll just bring out the quality and the taste of it, pretty much is what it's supposed to do. Then you want to throw some of your normal spices in there, that you like, whether it be red pepper, crushed, leaves, whatever, you can throw regular peppers in there, you can throw salt, some ground grilling seasonings, whatever, maybe you have some sort of specific type of seasoning you like, you can throw that in there.
I'm a cumin fan.
Cumin works. You don't want to put a lot of cumin in there because it can start to overwhelm.
That's true.
But other than that, pretty much at that point it's the intensity of how hot or not, or how peppery or not, or what kind of marinade you're looking for. So it all kind of depends on what your personal preference is and what you can handle.
Yeah. Talking about spices, what kind of rubs do you put on what kind of meat?
A rub can be you can be store-bought, but you can also just throw some of whatever your favorite general spices are that you'd put into your stuff. You kind of mix all that together, and that's pretty much a rub. Generally, rub something you can just rub into the meat. It's ground pretty fine, so you're obviously going to want to have some sort of grinder to grind some of the bigger stuff up that you throw in there.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also based on what you like. You can do Cajun. You can do just a regular steak rub. Like a barbecue rub, a mesquite rub. Which is more smoky. There's a lot of different kinds.
Say we're just looking at beef here. What kind of cuts are you saying to go for? What are the cheap cuts that are still going to be good? We usually do the thin strips. Those work out pretty good.
Yeah, those aren't bad.
Those are usually pretty cheap.
Yeah, the thin cut. I think it's beef round thin cut slices. Comes in real thin, almost like a deli-style steak cut that's uncooked. Short ribs are good. Those are a little more expensive, but it's quality. It's still like rib-tasty meat, but you get a lot more of the meat to it rather than a lot of the bone and picking the meat off. Easy to cook on the grill. The cheap stuff is generally whatever the store is putting on sale, whatever they're trying to get rid of. Anything pretty much works. I don't really like a lot of stuff that has the bone in on the cut. I know some people like the T-bone steaks and whatnot. I'm not into that. I don't like to have to work around all that nonsense to get to my meat. Just give it to me straight, boom. On the plate. Top sirloin's obviously probably my favorite because it's usually on sale, usually inexpensive, and it usually has the least amount of fat content.
You cut the fat off too.
Yeah, you can as long
this is healthy on a budget as well. Bomb meals, bomb healthy.
I don't do fat on the meat. That's definitely one thing I will not put up with, is having to chew fat with the meat, so I'll cut it all out. I don't do fat on the meat. That's definitely one thing I will not put up with, is having to chew fat with the meat, so I'll cut it all out.
Pardon the pun.
But other than that, obviously chicken drumsticks are always dirt cheap. Chicken breasts, like $3 for like at least a pound or two of chicken breast, chicken drumsticks. As long as you're buying them fresh from the deli, don't get the frozen shit. That's when you get the rack-up price, 'cause it's a consumer company.
Right.
They're putting it on the shelf. They're not cutting it up themselves. It's not local either, so it's not fresh. As fresh, and it's frozen. So you don't want to freeze your meat unless you don't plan on eating it right away.
So back to this. So you're a charcoal guy.
Yes, absolutely.
You don't cook
First and foremost, I'll take the time and respect the overall quality of the barbecue for what it is,
The
and
process.
give it the charcoal. Yes, the process. I mean, if you're not going to put time into it, what's the point of having a good meal? There's no point to rush it. And I don't want to necessarily. I mean, a gas flame's only going so far. With that flame comes up the gas fumes from somewhere. I mean, they gotta go in the atmosphere, obviously. So, I mean, charcoal is just better. You get the smoky flavor involved in there. It's natural heat. The coals last longer, and it's a lot more inexpensive in the long run, really.
It does taste better.
And the grill's going to be a lot less expensive too, because you don't got to have all that fancy equipment and knobs and nonsense on there.
True.
It's
All
a
right.
gimmick. It's a gimmick, that's for sure.
The gas is the gimmick.
Gas is a gimmick, yes. It's another way to pollute the atmosphere.
One would argue that charcoal is worse for the atmosphere.
Well, not in my eyes.
All right, we're going to take a bit of a sharp turn here. We're going to talk about Getty's Cove.
But before we do that, let's take a little break. This is Byron back in the studio for the Byron Podcast. We'll be back with part 2 with Getty's Cove right on the website. Thanks. Thank you for listening.